Okay, well, welcome everyone to the March 30th special meeting of Everett Public Schools Board of Directors. Beautiful afternoon today. Actually, most of the day was beautiful. It is evening now, but it feels more like afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and have the secretary call the roll.
President Mason.
Present.
Vice President Lassane.
Present.
Director Burke.
Present.
Director Mitchell. And Director Nichols.
Present.
Thank you, Jamie. Dr. Salzman, would you like to provide a brief overview of this afternoon's meeting?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and to our public, good evening. Tonight's agenda segment for the board will be the following: career and technical education, STEM pathways, career connected learning update, and also our school reopening status update. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and adopt the agenda by general consent unless there's discussion. Hearing none, we will move on to section 4.0 of our agenda, which is our strategic progress monitoring. And tonight we have Brian Day and Anthony Anderson to walk us through our career and technical education, STEM pathways, and career connected learning overview. Take it away.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So are you looking at a slide that says CTE STEM career pathways? Is that correct?
We are.
Great, thank you. So good afternoon. I welcome you to our work study session covering CTE STEM career pathways and career connected learning. My name is Brian Day. I am the Career and Technical Education Director for our district. We have 71 different courses, 18 career and technical student organizations in our middle and high school. We also have approximately 50 robotics clubs. Before beginning, I want to draw your attention to this picture in front of you. This is one of our CTE programs in action. It is Technical Theater at Everett High School. This course connects 21st century skills, access to career opportunity, and hands-on learning within the theater arts. The overarching storyline for this work study session is our CTE mission. Everett Public Schools Career and Technical Education program prepares each student with technical, academic, and 21st century skills, such as collaboration, critical thinking, and communication, for success in the workplace and in further education by ensuring all students, not some, but each and every one, have opportunities to learn in-demand career pathways. Through the leadership of Dr. Salzman and guidance of Dr. Bolton, we're continually innovating our pathways, which you will see in a moment through video vignettes. During this session, you will receive a better understanding of pathway progress of our CTE STEM career pathways, an overview of career preparatory programs at each of our high schools, and the growth of the Everett Career Link summer program. We have made significant progress in the past 3 years on our career pathways. Last year, we enhanced our process by launching a comprehensive local needs assessment, a CLNA. We collect and analyze student data, engage internal and external stakeholders with it, identified student needs, and set priorities and goals. This is a continuous process to meet the needs of our students with current opportunities and assure that we provide equity and access throughout our programs. This is our stakeholder group for the comprehensive local needs assessment process. The group represents our student and community and are key to our continuous growth and improvement. Each of these groups provide insight to us. For example, we identified that there was low participation of English language learners and special education students. So we collaborated with the special education and EL departments, as well as our natural leaders. To provide current opportunities, we collaborated with the Snohomish STEM Network and our career pathway advisories, which represent over 40 different employers throughout our community. We compiled the data from the CLNA and listed out areas of needs along with solutions. This chart is a sampling of what our data and collaboration identified as areas of needed growth. We found that there is financial barrier to participation in career and technical student organizations, or CTSOs. Our CTSOs are student learning leadership organizations. Some examples are Mock Trial, Future Business Leaders of America, Future Farmers of America, and Technology Student Organization. There's also financial barrier to receiving CTE dual credit, which is college credit students receive for taking college level CTE courses. Our solution was to remove fees for both areas, providing free college credit and access to CTSOs. We've also found that we have strong programs, but not high awareness of those programs. Our solution is to focus on enhancing our communication to be student-centered and parent-focused. Lastly, we need to expand our career pathway connections to middle school and elementary school. So we piloted a digital and video arts program at middle school and continue to grow our elementary robotics program. Having strong elementary and middle school STEM programs like robotics builds the foundation for students to continue on a given pathway. In middle and high school, we offer over 60 different exploratory courses, allowing students to experience a career area that they choose. 2 years ago, we began our school-based career preparatory programs. These programs are 3 periods long, offer career-ready certificates, which means that they are employable after graduation, strong work-based learning model, and partnerships with regional employers. Cascade has an advanced manufacturing program in partnership with Boeing. Everett will have a patient care program in partnership with Providence. Jackson High School has a cybersecurity program, which will expand to a cybersecurity and networking next year. We are partnering with the PUD for this program. Sequoia is exploring an early childhood education program, which incorporates a certificate and credit from Everett Community College. So in order to give you a closer look at each pathway, I've prepared 7 short video vignettes. For each career area, I will play a video and provide a window into each pathway. You will hear from the people who make our programs happen. The first pathway is engineering and advanced manufacturing. One area of need for this pathway, as well as all the pathways, is academic area equivalencies. Students take a CTE course and receive credit towards graduation requirements. You will hear about this as well as other innovative things that are happening.
Hi there, my name is Kim Griggs. I'm Engineering Manufacturing Facilitator for Everett Public Schools. I am here in the Cascade Auto Shop to tell you about our amazing Core Plus facility and program here at Cascade. My role is to support and grow the program here, as well as mechatronics in manufacturing district-wide. I'm going to now introduce you to Brianna Youngberg, Davina Clark, and Peter Smith, who are our Core Plus manufacturing team.
Hi, everybody. My name is Pete Smith. I am the one of the manufacturing instructors here at Cascade High School. I teach the applied section, so students learn how to use all the stuff you see behind me. The pathway we provide for students into industry is into areas like manufacturing, engineering, electrical, construction. We do this by teaching programs like computer-aided design or CAD. We teach kids drilling, riveting, electrical skills, teach them how to solder, weld, how to write a resume, how to go to an application process. They earn certifications in this program, and certifications they earn are in OSHA 10 safety. We start with that. They also earn several industry certifications through a number of different organizations in areas like riveting, sealing, soldering, precision measurement. And at the conclusion of the program, students earn a Core Plus certificate, which is great application to any of many industries in Washington State.
Hi, my name is Davina Lau, and I teach the English portion of the manufacturing program at Cascade High School. The English section of this class focuses specifically on industry style writing. So we do a lot of report writing, we do a lot of analysis, we cover SWOT analyses, and quality assurance processes within the manufacturing industry. So each of the units that we do cover is built with the input from Boeing and other community partners in mind, so that we can really prepare our students for the technical writing and the high level of industry writing that they will actually see in a career after the course. In addition to the industry writing specific units, we do also cover a research project where students look at the impact of artificial intelligence in the manufacturing industry and how different components of AI are impacting this field and may end up actually impacting their experience in a career outside of high school.
Hi, I'm Bree Youngberg, and I am the math teachers for the Foundations of Manufacturing course. And for the math, we really focus on the application and expansion of mathematical concepts. So some of the projects we do, we have the kids build catapults and calculate trajectory, speed, distance. We've had the kids manufacture and engineer cranes where they have to sustain particular rates on their pulley system. We've had them build marble roller coasters where they have to calculate the speed at various sections within the run. We also have the kids working on Fusion 360 CAD software, where they're really exploring the coordinate system, surface area calculations, and attention to detail. And then most recently, we have just started doing a full guitar building from scratch, where kids get to build an electrical guitar from start to finish. And we focus on the calculations for the fret spacing. We also look at the math behind sound waves. So this has been an incredible addition to our program. So we take all of the manufacturing aspects and really find the applied math in everything that we do.
The ability to earn Algebra 2 credit in junior or senior level English allows more students to take this course. It also makes it engaging by enabling them to learn in a hands-on environment. Our next steps in this pathway will be to incorporate marine and space careers and expand into mechatronics. The next career pathway is large in this region and is the fastest growing career area. Our needs assessment found that we simply need more opportunities for our students, especially in high demand areas like cybersecurity. Here is a look at our program at Jackson High School.
Hello, my name is Eric Hines. I am one of the assistant principals at Jackson High School, and I have the pleasure of getting to work with the CTE program and the CTE teachers here. We are excited to talk about a new opportunity in our communication and information technology pathway. This year, we had the pleasure of starting our cybersecurity class, which allowed students the opportunity to explore that possible career path and some of those skills, as well as pushing towards industry recognized certification.
Hi, I'm Keith Jacobson. I'm the instructor for the cybersecurity class. It's a new course that we've been building from the ground up to teach and get kids ready to take the CompTIA Security Plus certification exam. I want to take a moment to say if there's any kids out there who are feeling unsure about whether they should join or not, whether they have enough computer knowledge or the technical skills, we're going to take a portion of the beginning of that course. And we're going to focus it on IT fundamentals. We're going to learn about computers, how they function, how they work, and really what makes them tick. And so you'll be able to get that foundation in which you'll be able to build your skills and your knowledge moving forward.
So students can graduate from Jackson and enter into a cybersecurity job, making $50,000, $60,000 right away. Companies will sponsor their further education. It's a great pathway. We're excited to be partnering with the PUD to provide internships and career experiences for this course and pathway. We have many courses in health sciences and medical careers. At Everett High School next year, we will launch our medical careers program, where students who are interested in medical careers have an in-depth experience. Here's a look at that program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Corey Gudgeon, and I serve as the Health and Medical Pathway Program Facilitator for students, families, and staff of Everett Public Schools. A very important part of being the health and medical pathway facilitator is to help build, implement, and support the upcoming Fundamentals of Patient Care program at Everett High School. This is a program where students are provided an opportunity to take their first initial step into healthcare and learn high-quality patient care skills while working with and training on medical simulators that use the latest technology in our newly renovated space at Everett High School, the clinic.
Hello, my name is Mary Ingraham, and I'm an assistant principal here at Everett High School. I oversee our medical and health sciences programs. The addition of the patient care program will be a great opportunity for our students. There are many in-demand medical career jobs in our area, whether it's medical assisting, radiology technician, phlebotomist, doctor, or nurses. The opportunity to learn from experienced nurses, complete 50 hours of clinical on-site opportunities at Providence, receive college credit, and earn a certified nursing certificate is outstanding opportunity for our students. It is truly preparing our students for their life after Everett High School and giving them a lifelong advantage.
So you notice the facility looks like a medical office. It looks like a clinic. So that is the actual classroom that our students will be in starting next year. And the 50 hours of clinicals will be an amazing experience for our students. We've been working closely with Providence to make sure that we can line that up. Our next steps will be to expand in other medical fields. The education pathway provides our students a route to post-secondary options with the hope that many of our students will return to our district as teachers. The program has an emphasis of recruiting bilingual and multilingual students through our Recruit Washington Teachers Grant.
My name is Leslie Fernanda Diaz. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I am the program coordinator for our education pathway at Everett Public Schools.
My name is Davina Lau. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am the Introduction to Education teacher at Cascade High School, as well as the teacher leader for the education pathway in the district. So this class is really geared toward any student who wants to pursue a career in education at any level, but it's also really helpful for anyone who wants to learn more about the education system, how it's changed throughout the past, and how it is continuing to adapt to change in our society.
Once we have established a strong foundation for our students, they're able to take on the next steps, which is really observing a classroom. Traditionally, a student would choose a classroom and be able to observe the teacher, leading up to teaching their own lesson.
So one thing that my students started this year in the Educators Rising Club is a newsletter. It took a little bit to kind of figure out what we would use the club for this year, but students were really passionate about sharing information, educating others, and highlighting different elements within our education system that could either use celebrating or maybe a little bit of reform. So it's a really great opportunity for students to use their voice and promote what they are interested in, as well as what they find to be important.
Additionally, we host monthly webinars for our students to interact with professionals that look like them, meaning we bring in Black, Indigenous teachers of color who are a part of the disability community, the LGBTQA+ community, so that students can learn from their experiences in navigating the education system and successfully becoming professionals. In the next couple of years, we are hoping to expand the offerings for our students in both classes and certificates. Currently, we're working on an Introduction to Early Childhood Education class, which is a requirement for the state's initial certificate so that students can become early childhood education teachers. Additionally, we want to expand our partnership with our middle schools so that we can start our education pathway early on and really provide an opportunity for our high school students to mentor our middle school students.
As Ms. Diaz just explained, our next step is to design an early childhood education program with a certificate. The energy and sustainability pathways include agriculture, clean energy, sustainable construction, food processing, testing, analysis. Our comprehensive needs assessment revealed that we need more options for our students in this area. Here is a look at the pathway through a biotechnology lens.
Hi, I'm Carol Tanner. I am a science teacher here at Cascade High School. I'm also one of the lead teachers for the Energy and Sustainability Pathway. Our pathway includes the core courses for the Everett Public Schools, which are biology and the environment, physics and the universe, and chemistry. This set of classes gives kids exposure to environmental sciences. It gives them exposure to energy, and it also gives them exposure to chemistry. With this series of classes, we're trying to get students to understand the implications for their future and our future, and how science can be used for sustainable production of energy as well as food. We partner with the PUD, Snohomish Conservation District, and Washington State University in a variety of different aspects. Some of it's field trips. We've taken kids to wind farms. We've taken kids to dams. We've taken kids to Seattle to green buildings. We've also had them come and visit our campus and talk with our students and do small workshops. This is a really great pathway for a student who doesn't know exactly what they want to do after high school. It prepares them for a 4-year university, so it gives them all their prerequisites. It also exposes them to industry partners where they may make connections for jobs, internships, and apprenticeships. Our CTSO that is partnered with this pathway is FFA. And the reason we chose FFA as our CTSO is because there are numerous competitions that involve local things for our students like forestry, environmental science, agriculture, biotechnology, sustainable food production, sustainable ocean production, agri-science, and also working with the engineering of small machinery. So that we think this is a good fit for our kids, and our students have entered a few competitions so far, and they will continue to grow this program as we get back in person after COVID.
Our next steps are to enhance this pathway by expanding our community partnerships. We are very excited about new offerings in our business and professional services pathway. New classes include business and finance, social media marketing, and entrepreneurship. We also revamped our student store component of our marketing program to have a strong entrepreneurship focus. Here is a look at several of those opportunities.
Hey everybody, I'm Miss Youngberg from Cascade High School and I teach business and finance. A few years ago I created this course because I really saw a need to teach a class that wraps up economics, personal finance, small business startup, and career planning all wrapped into one. Hey, join me next year where we're going to invest in the stock market. We're going to start our own food truck business. We're going to learn how to prepare for your future career. And we're going to learn all those things, personal finance, that you need to know after high school. This is not a direct instruction course by any means. So I hope to see you next year where we can simulate and get hands-on with all things business and finance.
The Cascade High School entrepreneurship class runs and operates the Cascade Clothing Company. Cascade Clothing Company designs custom t-shirts and sweatshirts. For one of their projects, the entrepreneurship class was assigned the task of creating a career and technical education t-shirt for Everett Public Schools. The only guidance that they were given was to include all of the high schools in the district and the career and technical education logo. The winning design was created by Hara Sari, a sophomore in the entrepreneurship class.
Those were our 6 career pathways. Everett, this is Everett Career Link. Everett Career Link is our summer work-based learning program. It was started 2 summers ago as a 90-hour internship experience for our students. Students worked with local employers in a pathway and received high school credit. Last year, due to the pandemic, we started a mentorship course in place of the internship course. course. This was online. It went so well that we decided to continue it for this coming summer. We will also be adding a course called Career Link Exploration for 8th and 9th graders. And they'll be learning about the courses that they can take in high school and the careers available to them once they graduate.
Everett Career Link is a great program. It connects our local businesses with high school students for internships, and they receive school credit. It gives students that real world experience and an opportunity to learn about different careers and an opportunity to gain those practical life skills. And I see our Everett employers then have the opportunity to make an investment in their future workforce. I'd like to have us add more community and industry partners to the program so that there's even more opportunities for the students. And it would be great to continue to expand opportunities for younger students. I think the earlier we can connect kids to what possible future careers look like, the more their minds open up, and it gives them more opportunities for a brighter future.
I think from the students' perspective, it was once again an opportunity for them to bounce questions that they had off of somebody from industry. What we had done was we had posed a question to the students, and then they had to do research and come up with solutions to that question. And the question that was posed to this group was, what could we do to help get the flying public back into the airplanes? And that a year ago, it's still a big issue, but it's not as big of an issue today that people are beginning to fly. But what they did was they understood and researched what some of the constraints were. They looked to see what it would take to break down those constraints. They did evaluations where they came up with a number of solutions, and then they bounced solutions one off the other to prioritize the top 4 or 5. And then in the end, what they did was they came back and gave a presentation to myself and to Bree on the solutions, on good understanding of the problem, and then the proposed solutions. The two things that it did was I think it helped them understand that a lot of what the job is in industry today is problem solving. And it doesn't matter whether you're in the medical side or engineering side or manufacturing side, it involves problem solving. It also involves working with team members. I think the other thing that it gained for me was confidence in we've got our students heading down the right path. The biggest piece that I got out of it, like I said, was confidence that we're developing leaders for tomorrow. And these students are absolutely top notch.
Hello, this is Day. I took the Career, Network, and Mentor class from last summer, and I really enjoyed it. I had to work with small group of students and with a teacher, and we worked with people with real jobs from our community, and it was really nice.
So we're very excited about the evolution of this program and the connection of our community to our students. So we continue to progress in our mission of preparing our students for life after they leave Everett Public Schools through career-ready certificates, partnerships, rigorous courses, and aligning opportunities. We are continuously enhancing and evolving our programs to match student needs with opportunities in our community. So I can't do a CTE presentation without highlighting robotics. So we did not slow down during the pandemic. Instead, we found a different way to do robotics, which was just different, but just as good. So we shifted to an online platform, which has been just as engaging as the in-person version, and all of our teams have done well. Here you see Cedarwood Elementary. So this is competition in the International League. So we're the elementary school up against, in some cases, college level students, and competing and doing very well. We find out results tomorrow. So here's Cedarwood Elementary. This was about a week ago, and they beat Western Pines Middle School, which I think is a Palm Beach middle school, 560 to 80. So elementary school kids beating middle school by that much and competing in the international leagues. So robotics has been a highlight this year, and the kids love it. And we'll figure out a way to incorporate this into a regular robotics program. And there they are. That's the Cedarwood team. But I want to emphasize that we have teams at almost all of our schools, and they're all doing very well. So I welcome your feedback and questions that you may have. Before you begin, you have a gift, right? Like a gift should have been presented to you. There's a bag. Somebody must have it. Yes, you can open your gift now. Go ahead and open it up. As you can probably guess, this is from one of our student stores that we kind of revamped to have more of an entrepreneurship focus. And you're going to see some gifts that were made by the laser engravers. So there should be a coffee cup that has your name on it. There is a keychain with your name on it. And in the video, you saw notebooks with your name on it. Those didn't come out so well. So entrepreneurship, forgot what words. So I hope you enjoy those gifts, but that is a gift from us, Jackson High School, and those kids that made it all happen. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian, for a great presentation. I have to say, I just so appreciate those videos. It's the first time that we actually get to see the classrooms, especially at Everett High. That was really exciting to see the background. And it's been a long time in the making and haven't had an opportunity to be there in person yet. So, and to hear, of course, from the folks making those programs happen, and a little bit of information about sort of what content happens in each of those classes, just really informative in terms of what each pathway looks like. So thank you for those.
Thank you.
If I could ask you to pull the presentation down, then we will be able to see everyone.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And I would like to go ahead and open it up for any questions or comments from directors.
Oh, wow.
Director Nichols.
That was great. Really really touches me as someone who grew up with shop class and all those things that a lot of folks didn't get, and much later in life going and trying to go out and learn new technical skills on my own. And it's just so nice to see these programs. My main question was in one of the first slides on the manufacturing slide. You mentioned that you need to create more opportunities for engagement among females and I believe people of color. Can you tell me a little bit more about what is going into those plans as far as reaching out and getting those folks?
Yeah, definitely. Pre-pandemic, we held several meetings for students at Cascade High School, where the program is actually housed, and specifically targeting girls by inviting women who are in manufacturing, who are in engineering. I sent those invites out, and they talked about how exciting that career field is. It might not be as they actually expected. So this got several of the girls interested in the course. And that year we had 3 girls actually take the course, which went very well. It was also intentional to have 2 female instructors in that course as well. And that has worked out great for the students and for the teachers. We also have a grant that we started a year ago that's on hold called the BEAT grant. And this grant targets middle school girls and connects them to local industry. And we take them out on different field trips so they can understand the different career opportunities that are out there, with the idea that if we can get them connected in middle school, then they will go on to high school to take these courses, and also allows them to maybe look at their different perceptions of these courses and think, hey, that is me, I can actually take that. And for diversity in general, we're just doing continuous kind of outreach and education to our teachers, to our counselors, to our career specialists, to make sure that any type of student that would be interested in this type of course gets that opportunity. And that includes really includes middle school opportunities. We have a strong CAD program in each one of our schools, and those teachers, talk about the different programs, and lots of times those kids will go on to advanced manufacturing because of those courses.
Great. If you need more women to come in and talk to your manufacturing field, it just so happens my wife is a project manager for a local manufacturing company that does mostly aerospace and medical equipment. And her boss, the director of the project management, are both women, very successful, have lots of knowledge in that area. So if you need more of that, please let me know. Happy to connect you with their company. Okay.
Thank you. I'll take you up on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other directors?
I have a couple questions for Brian, if you wouldn't mind. When you start talking about CTSOs and you mentioned Future Farmers of America, how many other CTSOs do we currently have? And how are we incorporating all of those so that we get a very wide, diverse view of what's available?
Yeah, so I actually counted right before the presentation began. We have 18 career and technical student organizations, which are at middle and at high school. And then there's the 50 robotics clubs, which is similar to the CTS. So when I began this job approximately 3 years ago, we only had about 5 different CTSOs in our schools, 5 different chapters. So I've been very intentional about connecting teachers first to the importance of what a CTSO is. Often people think that this is a club that's actually connected to the course and to the leadership aspects. So at a given school, there might be approximately 5 different CTSOs. And it's just a process of making sure that all teachers are aware of it and connecting students to this.
You know, we seem to be more familiar, I guess, with DECA and groups like that, organizations like that, that provide, business and professional opportunities for our students. Are each one of these CTSOs at each one of the high schools?
Yes, we have almost all CTSOs at each high school. We are currently expanding FFA to make sure it's at each high school. But we, the CTE team and teachers, are making sure that we are doing the correct outreach to make sure not only are they there, but they are strong programs. And again, at middle school as well. TSA is the only one at middle school. It's currently the only one that's offered it in Washington State.
My next question happens to deal with the 3-period course with Core Plus at Cascade. When we start talking about the 3-period course at Everett, the patient care course, do we have something very similar in the works at Jackson?
Yes. So at Jackson, we have a cybersecurity course, which was a 1-period course for this year. So the pattern has gone, we start a 1-period course, and then the following year, we expand that to a 3-period course. So the first year is very much a pilot course. So this year at Jackson, we have the cybersecurity course, which will expand to a cybersecurity networking course. Next year, it will only be 2 periods long. It's just more difficult to expand right now. But our facilitator, Kim Griggs, who you saw in the video, is working hard to make sure that that is in place for next year.
And are we able to touch base with cybersecurity professionals to teach courses that we may need, the connection between real life and school?
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that all of these preparatory courses have an intentional partnership with a regional business. Cybersecurity, we've connected to PUD, who has a cybersecurity focus within its IT department, so that we have 2 professionals from the PUD that will be collaborating with the teachers and the kids throughout the year. And the PUD will be offering work-based learning experiences for our students, like internships, as well as job shadows. And again, Kim Griggs, the facilitator that you saw in the video, is working hard to make sure that those are in place.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I just have a couple of questions. And thank you for this presentation. I like CTE is just, it warms my heart because it gives our kids so many different options for pathways to not just graduation, but success. My first question was that first picture that you showed, that was theater and kind of that backstage. Is that going to be one of our pathways? Is that currently available? Where's that stand?
So the picture that I showed you was technical theater. Technical theater exists at Jackson High School and Everett High School. They both have strong programs. Currently, only the Everett course is CTE. And that is because the teacher of that course is a CTE teacher. The technical theater is part of the skills pathway. So technically, it's part of manufacturing. It's part of robotics as well, mainly because there's a lot of hands-on learning how to use tools for a specific purpose. The teacher at Everett High School would like to expand that specific pathway of technical theater to be even stronger and include more courses.
Got it. That's awesome to hear because it really expands, students' minds in terms of what they think of for a career in technical education. My other question kind of is based on what Director Nichols asked about female and then our BIPOC students. So I'm wondering specifically for our BIPOC students, I know it's a fine line that we as educators walk when we don't want to track students. We want to make sure all of our students know everything's available, but then sometimes I feel like we may have pushed too far in one direction and thus closing the door in the other, right? So I'm wondering if there's a concerted effort to really make sure all of our students know that they're welcomed and have this option. And I guess when I'm basing it on being a parent at Jackson, I get a lot of mail about AP, right? Lots of mail. I know my kid is welcome, that they are going to flourish. Just try it. Come on. What are you thinking? Have you not tried it? I mean, literally, like postcards, mails, emails. I don't get that same kind of action from CTE, right? And just listening to this, I'm going, oh, this might be a great option. So do we have something planned to reach out to parents in a concerted way about these programs?
Yes, and if you think back when it was about the second slide where I was talking about our CLNA, our Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment, what you just stated is a place of need, a place where we have to grow, where we have strong programs. We have to make sure that the information is student-centered and it's in front of parents in order to make sure that they are aware of these programs so that they can actually take them. So it's a place of growth for us, but we're being very intentional about in doing that.
Okay, that would be great. And one kind of piece of advice, and I think this is for yourself and then, staff around this, be honest with the parents about the success rate. I think one thing is I get all of this AP mail. It doesn't really talk to me about what the potential success rate of my child is to get AP credit, that college credit that all parents think their kid is going to get by taking the class, but they don't when they achieve less, a 2 or a 1 on that test. So being honest about the metrics associated with that versus something like CTE, where success means completion and achieving that A. And now if it is a college and a high school type class, you've got credit. So putting those side by side, I think would be a powerful message to parents so that they can make educated choices and not kind of go down one pathway and be really, really upset at the end of it when their child doesn't receive the credit they think they will. So that's just kind of my 2 cents. And then lastly, thank you for the gifts. And thank you for not putting our names in the wine openers, because that would have been a bad look. So thank you for putting them on the mugs instead.
If I could just interject for a second to respond to something you mentioned, Director Berg, is we are always reviewing our data for our courses. So to your point, we're looking at our data to make sure that we meet the needs of students across all of our courses and all of our pathways. We're looking to see if the diversity is there. And as Brian mentioned earlier, we're also looking to work with our special services department in our English learning department to make sure that we have representation there. Not only are we doing that, we're looking at how those courses and the diversity in those courses are dispersed across those courses, because we know that the old thought about our CTE courses was the vocational. And if, as you heard earlier, the teachers mentioned about the English skills that are required and also the math skills that are required. So we're really looking to align our equivalencies to make sure that no one feels that CTE is an escape, but it is just as competitive and just as much of a valuable resource for the careers of the students we're serving.
That's wonderful to hear. And then maybe for our next update, we can see some of that demographic data that you're pulling associated with the different programs. And that way we'll understand how to contextualize the folks that are in the programs and, you know, if there are gaps, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to just follow on what Director Berg said, because I too, as a parent, did not have a lot of exposure to information about pathways and CTE courses other than what my kids read in the when they were registering for classes and they were looking through the different descriptions of courses. And so this is just so exciting since I've been on the board to see the growth in this program and the Everett Career Link in particular, that we're actually giving them real life experience. And I would also maybe suggest that we think about, and I know you guys are probably already on top of this, but how do we message this to the community? Because we have a lot of folks in our community that think of vocational education, which is, you know, we say, oh, CTE is the new vocational education, but then that instantly triggers their vocational education when they were growing up, and it looked very different. You know, it was wood shop and it was auto shop, and I mean, I think there were still baking courses when I was going to high school, and I got to take wood shop, which is super exciting because at Halloween I know how to use the jigsaw on my pumpkin. So there are important skills to be learned, but I think it's really important that we message out to our community as much as we do to our parents as well. Going forward. And then I do have one question. I was a little bit curious about sort of the bridge that we're creating between these high school preparatory programs and sort of the student's next step. So we have Everett Career Link, which is great. It gives a couple, you know, a small group, unfortunately, you know, real life exposure to working in a career environment. And then there's all these higher level certificate programs out there. How do we do that on a large scale rather than, you know, one person comes in and talks about their particular career, but how do we really make sure that every student that takes these classes and goes through, you know, the 3 credit course at Cascade and such is definitely moving on somewhere meaningful to them. And I know it's probably in the high school and beyond plan, but and then the next question is, do we track that? Do we know that they were able to move on and find a place after high school?
The first part of your question with the Everett Career Link, I'll say I didn't put this in the presentation, but we currently have 133 kids signed up for Everett Career Link for this summer. So we're continuously trying to expand those opportunities. With the career preparatory programs, each one of those programs has an intentional partnership with an employer. For example, at Cascade High School Advanced Manufacturing, Boeing comes into the classroom throughout the year, and it's the workforce division of Boeing. And 2 years ago, 8 kids received a job at Boeing, and it was in the entry-level position. We also have other groups coming in that intentionally partner with our programs there to make sure that kids have that link or that information before they leave. So Providence will be in our classroom throughout the patient care program to help kids figure out what their next step is. So that is an intentional effort throughout.
That's great. And do we track where kids go after these programs?
We track the post-secondary education, but we don't have a complete picture at this time. That is something that we're trying to address so we can get that full picture, because that is very important.
Yeah, it's difficult to do, I understand, because it's probably you're relying on self-reporting and folks getting back to let you know where they've gone and what they've done.
Correct.
So I appreciate that. Are there any additional comments or questions before we move on?
I did have one more question. In the in your sustainability section, is there currently any forestry products type focus?
There's not a focus. It is a topic within 2 of our courses, but there's not a course on forestry that we currently offer.
Okay. I was going through and I wanted to say thank you for these gifts as well. The one that really touched me was the card that you can plant. Waste from urban logging is a huge kind of passion of mine and kind of how we sustain our environment. And so seeing stuff like this, sustainable things that we're doing and focusing on sustainability, to me, is really important. So I'm glad to see we're doing it. And I hope that we're able to branch it out into kind of the forestry management at some time in the future.
Good. And I'll comment on that. Brian does a good job with the team, and it's a great team that we're always looking to expand what we're offering our students. And we're always looking to provide them with what's actually current in the market at the time. So we have to evolve with our community, and we have to make sure that we're providing the workforce that we can sustain what's going on within our community. So by looking at that, we're even trying to expand as far down as elementary level, which the state doesn't really fund CTE at elementary level, but we're looking at ways that we can provide opportunities for students early, so that, to the point that Director Mason brought up, that we look at students early enough where they have the information, their parents have the information, so that when they move to high school and matriculate through our system, they already know which pathway that they can have to provide them with a sustainable income and continue with their career. So we know that right now we're facing a time where our students have to have that critical thinking skill, so that they know how to repurpose themselves in society. When one opportunity, the door closes in one area, they have the skill set, and we want to be really ahead of the process in getting our students ready, so they're more competitive than any other schools in the region. So we want to be that great. And Brian and the team, along under the leadership of Dr. Salzman and the rest of the team here, everyone here, our principals and everyone, we're looking at becoming more innovative and creating these programs so that we are getting better at being better. So that's really what we want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
I would also like to say thank you, Brian, and thank you, Anthony, for the evolution of this project. It started when I first mentioned internship program and apprenticeship programs. What are we doing? And many years ago, when we're evolving and we're doing quite outstandingly, to have 133 kids interested in the summer program and internship programs, that's fantastic. Like you said, Anthony, going down to invoking STEM in kindergarten on up, we are evolving, and we are making sure that our kids can, if they need to, they can have several different careers, have the skills ready so that they can have several different careers. We've all had to do it sometime. At one particular time, I was building ships. Another particular time I was building houses, and now I'm a school board director. So it's important that kids have different opportunities and different skills to meet the needs in their lives. So thank you so much for what you have done and the evolution this has taken, Everett Public Schools. And I think it's great. I look forward to seeing what comes next year and the year after, because we're doing fabulous work and we're opening up doors for our students. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Lissing.
And I just have like a logistical question. So if we, like the paper that Andrew was showing, how do we support? How could we, is there a student store or an online store? Are people able to make orders? Like, how can we support and make this successful?
One thing you just mentioned is that those student shops actually exist. So the Cascade, they're making the t-shirts. So if you have a purpose and you'd like t-shirts made, they can help you out. And the engraver, the kids can engrave on coffee cups, about anything, golf balls as well. So they will need projects, because the idea is that they are actively marketing and they are putting their skills into use. So you can contact me or the teacher directly, but I can be the conduit for that to happen.
Wonderful. Maybe we can get that in the Friday report, just kind of contact information so folks know how to support this program, because yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can definitely get that information into the board. And I just want to interject really quickly and just say thank you for the opportunity for our team to be able to share how we're flipping the script on what a traditional CTE or vocational education looks like. It's been a really great opportunity for us to really expand these programs. There's a lot of enthusiasm, and we've got the right team on board who's really forward thinking in the service of students. I also just wanted to call out a little bit, Dr. Salzman, I believe that robotics program stopped after you left West Palm Beach, didn't it? Is that maybe, not that our Cedarwood kids rocked it, but I just thought maybe that might be you might want to comment on that one, Dr. Salzman.
They took it out of the IR process when I left, so that's why we beat them.
Thanks for letting me poke fun there, but I really appreciate the opportunity to share this amazing work on behalf of Mr. Day and Mr. Anderson. Really appreciate the time this evening to be able to share out that great work they're doing.
Thank you, Dr. Bolton.
Thank you, everyone. Great presentation, great discussion. And I'm guessing maybe Director Nichols and Mr. Day are aware of the really cool Forestry Research Center going in Darrington. And I see future field trips for our students, definitely. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as that takes shape. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and move on. We're going to move to our information and discussion item this evening. I keep forgetting because the sun's out. It's very confusing. We are going to get an update on our school reopening status. This is a changing and evolving topic, and I appreciate the team continuing to provide updates on a monthly basis so we can stay somewhat on top of what's happening. And I'm going to go ahead and ask Ms. Reeves to get us started.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
All right, I love this picture. You know, as you mentioned, things have been happening very quickly. So within the last month, we've brought back grades 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I believe this was actually first graders. We've been trying to get into the schools to get some good pictures. And Kim in my department went to take pictures of first graders, and this was their recess. And she's like, I couldn't get anyone to slow down or to stop. They just were running around in circles, but they were running around with their masks on. So a great picture to show kind of what's going on in the classrooms. And again, these are the same topics we cover every month, but if you think about, not only have we brought back 4 different grade levels, it's been less than a month that school district staff have been able to get vaccinated. And it seems like every week there's a new and exciting update. So we're going to go through these and look at all the things that have changed in the last month. And we are going to start with Brian Beckley.
Yes, good evening. We continue to keep track of attendance as one of the measures to monitor the importance of keeping our students engaged. So the graphic I've shared with you the last couple of meetings has changed a little bit as we progress through these stages of remote learning and students returning to the classroom. We look at all the modalities: in-person attendance, remote attendance, and asynchronous attendance. And this slide is a snapshot of the percentages of students attending for these dates for each of the categories from stage 2 through the beginning of stage 4B. You can see the attendance percentages have consistently remained in that 90% range. I also share with you updated information related to some of our key tools in the learning management system to get a sense of their utilization during remote learning. Zoom serves as the district tool for synchronous instruction, and we see a high volume of help desk tickets beyond typical device support and password resets with Zoom. And it's no wonder that we get a lot of calls when you see the volume of use at the beginning of the, since the beginning of the school year. You can see the statistics here and the high number of participants in minutes for the nearly 400,000 meetings and webinars that we've hosted so far this year. Canvas serves as the virtual classroom, and you can see by each level how many assignment teachers have posted, replacing what would have been something students would have done in many cases, would have been done traditionally in a hard copy form. Teachers at all 3 levels have expanded their use of those Canvas discussion boards for students to be able to interact, collaborate, and engage with each other in learning using Canvas. Online enrollment as a digital tool has been a great success with nearly 2,500 new students enrolling from September through March online for this current school year. And already we've seen nearly 400 new kindergarten students enrolling for next school year just in the first 2 weeks of March. Families using this digital tool to update information online has been a great resource for them. And over 6,000 updates have been completed throughout the year, several hundred more in the process. This is just an increase of over 2,000 in just 1 month. The number of computers and hotspots has remained steady from last month to this month. Most of our changes are in swapping out computers that need to be repaired or replaced. So the total numbers has been remaining steady. We are seeing a modest increase in the number of families, our qualifying families, taking advantage of the free internet program through OSPI, which is free internet through the end of the school year, with 66 completed currently and several more in the process. And we continue to track customer service as a priority for us and help desk tickets. We get those through phone calls, through the website, and we now are getting them through the Let's Talk application, which started this past month. And they continue to take advantage of these different resources as well as what we provide on the website at Parent University. So we're seeing some modest decrease, but I think a lot of people are doing some problem solving themselves with some of these tier 1 sort of help desk tickets. And that's the reason we see some of the decline by providing those resources for parents.
So March 15th and March 18th brought back out our 4th and 5th grade students onto our campuses. So to date, we have over 4,800 of our P5 elementary students back on campus for in-person instruction, which is super exciting. This is about 50% at each grade level. These photos on this slide here are 2 5th grade teachers that I got to visit on those first days. Ms. Wadrago at Hawthorne Elementary and Mrs. Sulik at Viewridge Elementary. We're really taking time to reconnect with their students, and these amazing teachers, as many of our others, really welcome students back into the classroom, but intentionally built in time to reteach those classroom routines since they've been out for a while. Moving on to our secondary stage 5, that's what we're really digging into and preparing for right now. Originally, we had a 5A and a 5B phase, but we've consolidated those. That 5A phase, you may remember, is that phase we referred to as the targeted student support model. However, with the governor's announcement, it set into motion that April 19th date. And fortunately, we had already been planning our concurrent model prior to this announcement. So we've consolidated those 2 phases into one. So it's all stage 5. It really made sense to consolidate that design work into that combined concurrent model for that combined approach. And in the next few slides, I'd like to share a high level, some sample schedules for high school and middle school, and we'll also be providing an athletics update as athletics returned. So you can see on this slide, want to share with you a little bit of a high level overview that we're still fine tuning as we're currently collaborating in bargaining with our Teachers Association. So therefore, this is why it's a proposed schedule, but we believe this to be the most consistent model to not only maximize in-person instruction while maintaining social distancing in common areas and at lunchtimes and built into the day, but it also minimizes and eliminates the need to reconstruct master schedules so that student schedules remain the same. We really do not anticipate many schedule changes at all, and that's really important for our students and their families. So students who wish to return to school are split into an A group and a B group, split by address location, similar to what we did with our elementary. And on Monday and Tuesday, the A group comes in person, and at the same time, the B group, as well as other 100% remote students, would learn from home. In this high school schedule, we're proposing longer class periods, though you can't necessarily see it in this sample here. Class periods at the high school level would be anywhere in between 100 and 110 minutes long. And that longer class period really allows for students and teachers to connect, toggle between modalities, whether it's in person or remote, and really set into motion synchronous and asynchronous work. We believe those longer periods give all the flexibility and that need to go deeper on some of the essential standards or deeper into the materials in which they're working on and really assist in a learning lab kind of atmosphere. We would keep that asynchronous day on Wednesday. Keeping those same schedules for consistency with our students on Wednesday is important. And we're still negotiating providing some latitude for the designation of Learning Improvement Wednesdays to provide a balance of support for teachers. The inverse schedule then, of course, would happen on Thursday and Friday for our B group students now learning in person, while the A group and remoters are working from home concurrently in that same class period. This next slide, you'll see the middle school proposal with a parallel structure to the high school schedules I just shared. And similar to that high school schedule, we'd keep that asynchronous day on Wednesday, Monday and Tuesday, A group learns in person, at the same time B group in 100% remote learning from home. The features of this schedule that we're proposing also have longer class periods, although in middle school it is approximately 90 minutes long. And the big difference here is that because our middle schools are working on 7-period days, we've built in an additional period on the off days. So you'll see periods 1, 3, 5, and 7 on Monday, and also 1, 2, 4, and 6 on Tuesday. And we're proposing that additional first period so that it gives the building a little flexibility. Perhaps it's a social emotional lesson. It could be a lesson on 4-year plans or your HSMB plan. However, buildings choose to utilize that time to help connect and reacclimate students. But that period 1 is now shorter, but it spans across all 4 days to give buildings that latitude and flexibility to meet the needs of their students.
And thank you, Dr. Boughton. For a quick update on our athletics programs, we just completed or will nearly complete our fall seasons. We started March 2nd, and our last varsity football games will be held this Thursday, April 1st. Had very successful competitions this year. Swimming coaches were very creative on how to run competitions because of severe restrictions on how many people could be in the pool area at any one time. So they had time trials and virtual swim meets to make it as competitive as possible for our girls swimmers. We have just started our spring sports practices today. All of those sports are outdoors. And then we plan to start our winter sports seasons on May 3rd with basketball, wrestling, bowling, and swimming. That's boys swimming. As you can see at the bottom of the slide, we do have some restrictions on how many people we can have in a facility, whether it's indoors or outdoors. And so our building athletic directors have been very creative to work around those restrictions. We were able to bring fans back into the stands, mostly parents and some select students for the last couple of weeks of the season. And of course, with Everett Memorial Stadium being as large as it is, we were able to have a few more fans for our football games and so on. So far, things are going very well, and it's been great to see the kids competing again.
My favorite thing to do. So we administered the secondary staff survey March 12th to the 18th to gather the data on their intent to return to work for stage 5. On an average across all secondary schools, we had about 21% of teachers who did not respond to the survey the first time. Of those who responded, 14% fall within the Center for Disease Control definition, which are the staff member is at risk, they live with somebody who is at risk, or they have childcare issues. Of this, 65% of the staff who completed the survey indicated they would be returning. Of those 65 though, 22% indicated they would prefer to stay remote, but would return if no remote assignment is available. So in order for we need all of our teachers back in order for in-person, in order for the stage 5
instruction to be successful. But we are engaging in discussion with our secondary staff to determine if there are accommodations that we can make for those who fall in the CDC categories to help keep them teaching. We did administer a second survey to capture those who did not respond the first time, and that survey closed on Sunday. We did have some that still did not respond, but it reduced it to 7%, so we're still making those calls. As a result of that second round, there was a slight uptick of those who fall within the CDC high-risk categories or child care issues at 15%, whereas it was 14% before. So the more people who responded, it increased it a bit. 78% indicated they would return or had child care issues, up from 65% from the first round. So again, the 78% includes 22% of those who said, I would prefer to stay remote, but if no remote is available, then they would come back to work. So we will continue to engage in those conversations with our staff to determine exactly what types of accommodations we can make to get them to be in person in instruction. For classified, we have recalled our secondary supervisory paraeducators from furlough. What that means is some of those secondary paraeducators were temporarily placed elementary. So we're moving them back to their secondary position, and then we're having to backfill those elementary hours. We're bringing back more of the food nutrition and drivers as more and more students come back. We have begun to post, or we are posting, classified vacancies for custodian, food nutrition, office professionals, and paraeducators based on resignations and retirements. We were holding on those for a bit when we were remote, but now we need to have our staff back as our students are returning. For substitutes, we have a good pool of certificated substitutes that are in any various parts of our processes, screened, onboarded, or trained. We're surveying our substitutes currently to get a better sense of who is willing to do remote, hybrid. If they're not available right away, when are they available? And then we also are requiring them to go through some training both for hybrid and remote. We're still working hard to get a cadre of paraeducators to be at the ready for April 19th. What that means is we're offering them 6.5 hours a day, starting the 19th through the end of the school year. So we're hoping to get some paras hired. It is very, very shallow for the paraeducators. We have welcomed our CRC staff back to the work site. They will come back starting April 12th. And we will again work with, our goal is to have everybody back, but we will work with the CDC guidelines to ensure that we follow the safety protocols. And then leaves, as the school year winds down, short-term leaves are falling off, and we are seeing some long-term leaves increase a bit for next year. Those leaves for next year are generally for maternity or childcare purposes. And as a side note, we continue to engage in conversations with all of our association groups as we prepare for the stage 5 return.
Well, as I know that you're aware, the collective attention to details of physical and emotional safety has significantly influenced the increased success of the reentry of our elementary students in the hybrid model at each of our previous stages. And our upcoming focus is on the reentry of our secondary schools during a single phase. As we bring back larger numbers of students to in-person learning, it's important that we consider the options to expand the socially distanced occupancies of our cafeterias to consolidate the number of staff members that are needed for supervision. And this example is taken from View Ridge using our existing cafeteria tables where we could fit 3 students per lunch table. Silver Lake Elementary has been able to use extra student desks to increase the number of students in the cafeteria. And by alternating desks each lunch, it helps with cleaning also during the transitions. And depending on the number of desks that are available district-wide, we're considering using chairs for some of our larger schools, as in this model from a high school in Eastern Washington. Now, when this slide was created, we were still awaiting the governor's direction based on the CDC's announcement to decrease the social distancing requirement from 6 feet to 3 feet for students. And we have been able to generate recalculations to our COVID capacity models of our classrooms. And the great news is that with very few exceptions, this would allow our classrooms the ability to accommodate capacities that are similar to what we had in pre-COVID times. And it is important to note, though, that the capacity considerations are currently in negotiations for final determination. And as we provide training for our secondary staff, we will be able to utilize all of our current training resources. And that said, we've developed some additional pieces to help address the needs created by safely managing a larger number of students on our campuses. And with the reentry successes to this point, we are so excited about the momentum and collective confidence that's been generated as we look forward to this next stage.
The communications around this last month have been a lot about stage 5. We did survey families, just like we surveyed staff, about intent to return to the building. And then we have also talked about the timing of stage 5. There'll be another communication coming out soon on more details of what that looks like at each school. And then, of course, as referenced already, the CDC announcement and its implications and how that pertains to our processes and what we're going to do here. And then vaccinations for staff, which we've been communicating weekly to provide updated opportunities for staff to get their vaccinations. And then again, this is the COVID dashboard that we've been updating weekly. And so far cases are looking pretty good, which is nice. And that is the presentation. Questions?
Thank you to all our presenters. I'm going to start with a couple quick questions. One on enrollment, and I guess this is for Brian Beckley. I noticed that we had 437 new students signed up for next year. Are those some of those students ones that chose to, for example, maybe homeschool or not participate in remote learning? Are they coming back, or do we not know?
That was for kindergarten, the kindergarten registration. So these would be new students to Everett Public Schools. So they're not ones that necessarily were here and coming back.
Okay. So do we know, do we have students registering to come into the district other than kindergarten? And do we know, is that a larger number than normal?
I can get that for you in the system.
Okay, I'm just curious, we lost so many students this past year because of the teaching model, the learning and teaching model. And I'm just curious if we're going to see an uptick next fall, that things might be a little bit more normal.
Okay, I can get that for you.
Thank you. Directors, do you have other questions? Director Nichols.
So 2 questions. Dr. Boughton, could you speak to a little bit about how the concurrent learning works between the hybrid and remote? Just kind of the nuts and bolts of that.
Sure. Let me just give you a brief overview. What the hope is that we're looking at an opportunity for students to be in person in front of an instructor, and that instructor to be able to, they have some opportunities and some latitude to either live stream, say, I'm going to turn on a Zoom, I'm going to do some direct instruction with both the students in the room and on Zoom as well. There's also opportunities for the instructor to say, I'm actually going to open with a classroom question, quick dialogue. I'm going to give the remote students some asynchronous work or some work to do in small group, and then attend to the needs of the in-person students. What we really are intending is to give some latitude to our teachers who know their students the best, and help them to navigate what best fits their teaching style and also the content area that they were going to teach. Does that explain a little bit?
Yeah, that gives me the approach. Are we going to do things like have extra pairs available in those classes for the concurrent teaching so that somebody can help monitor the online learning so that the teacher's not trying to focus on 2 different things at once?
Well, I don't think that we are not planning on having additional staffing in there because that is staffing can be a challenge right now. And I think the intent is to build in teachers' latitudes. We have some teachers who feel really confident and comfortable saying, yeah, I can kind of toggle back and forth between remote and in person. But it's also why we've provided that additional size, kind of a super size, if you will, period, so that it gives teachers the opportunity to say, I'm going to work with the students in person first, and then have a log on 15 minutes later so that I can manage both groups at the same time. It's also the opportunity to provide a learning lab for in-classroom support or giving the students some work to do independently while they're able to focus in on the students in the remote session as well.
And then Kathy, as far as the communications that are going out to parents, is there any sort of, and I know it's hard to time and gauge some of these things, but is there verbiage in there that's saying, we're looking for, like the return to classroom, who wants to return to classroom, and we're going to announce on X date, what your schedule is going to be and those types of things. Is there any, because I've been noticing a little bit of frustration with some parents. Again, they're trying to plan, and we're all trying to plan. It's not an easy situation for any of us to be in. So is there anything like that we're trying to do to give them like a date or some sort of something to kind of get them through?
Yeah, well, we haven't announced a date because so much of it has changed since last Friday, but we are hoping to send something out before spring break. So by this Friday, the concern being there's still a large number of families who have not responded to the survey about their choice, which doesn't enable us to balance out the classes the way we want to. So today, I think the principals got the preliminary data and they're starting to work vigorously on it, and we're really hoping to announce before spring break, because we know if we announce next week, teachers and principals won't be around to help provide guidance, and then we're a week out from April 19th. So yeah, it's coming fast. So our goal is Friday.
Okay, great, thank you.
And I've got a couple questions. The first one is kind of on that. Do we know approximately how many families, even though a lot haven't returned the survey, do we know approximately, is it like 50-50, 60-40 of how many families are opting in?
Do you guys remember that? I want to say it's like 80 want to come back. Does that sound?
I think yes, I think it's relatively close, in between 75 and 80% of the students who have responded.
That's correct. It's between 75 and 80.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. The other question I've gotten from families, are they going to be required to bring their computers with them when they're in class? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then is there going to be charging? Like, are we making arrangements with the desk setup to make sure they have because I think they last for somewhere around an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours?
Right. We have extra charging cables we're providing the teachers, and then there'll also be carts that they can plug their devices into, but there'll also be loaners available like we did at elementary if they should lose their charge and need access to a computer. So we'll kind of have all three.
Okay, that's great to know. And that might be something as we come up with that communication to parents, definitely highlight that, because kiddos are worried about losing power, just like we are with our phones. Okay, so lunch next. Are we going to be charging for lunch, or is it going to be the same where if kiddos show up and they're hungry, like how are we going back to the free reduced lunch mechanism, or are we going to keep it to everybody eats?
It is still free meals for all.
Free meals for all. Okay, so that'll be another good thing to kind of highlight to our folks. And then also and I know those pictures were taken before the 3-foot rule, but it felt so lonely, right? Like when I looked at those pictures of lunch and they felt so, even sitting there. And so I guess, are we gonna have paras or somebody in there enforcing that? Because I'm thinking of our high schools and trying to enforce somebody sitting in that seat. So is that?
Yes, yeah. And this will actually help a lot right now in the elementary classrooms. You know, they were eating lunch in the classrooms. But having more class groups in the cafeteria allows us to have still adequate supervision, but fewer adults to do that. And so that's what we're also looking at the secondary model as well. Obviously, the students won't be able to eat in the classrooms in the secondary classrooms because of the way the periods work. And it just, so we'll have to maximize those spaces and also try to be as efficient as we can with the supervision.
So I guess that's another question. Will there be lunch periods for secondary? Like they have now, you might have a different lunch period than your friend, or are we just gonna have one lunch period?
No, there'll be separate lunches, kind of how we've been used to. And depending on how many students come back to the schools and depending on the capacities that we can actually get into the cafeterias, we may have to consider 3 lunches at times, where you would students would go to class, then go to lunch and then come back to class. We've had to do that historically over time, sometimes with remodels and things like that, but it'll just depend on each individual building.
Perfect. And then I'm down to my 2 last questions. One, just what do you think the average class size? I know now with the 3-foot model, we can have more, but it sounds like with 80% back and you split it up into 2. So are we looking at probably 10 to 15 per class, somewhere in that neighborhood?
Yeah, right now what we're, yes, and we've been talking with what we're negotiating through now too is, you know, this idea that we want to still try to maintain as much social distancing as we can within the classrooms, but there may be times just because we could try to get a 50-50 split with A and B in some classes, but then you can't guarantee when those kids go off to their next period and then other kids are joining that class from another period and so on. We may have some scenarios where that goes above what we've tried to do for the classroom capacities right now at the 6 or 7 feet that we've calculated them out. And but we have the latitude now, obviously, with the governor's declaration here for us. So. Yeah.
And just lastly about paras, and that sounds like kind of a dire situation. So I guess Debbie, when you're saying how we're kind of having a shortage, you know, are there emergency things that we're taking into account? Is that going to impact reopening in some of our areas? What's that going to look like?
No, I mean, if we have to call some of our certificated subs to come in and act as paraeducators, we're going to do that.
Got it.
So we feel confident that we'll be able to have supervision.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
That was very in line with the question that I had. Every district around will be looking for substitute teachers. And my question was, what type of latitude would we have? And I from what I heard, I understand that we would be using paras where we need to, but what about teachers for, you know, high schools, for middle schools that are specific to course content? What happens if we just can't get substitute teachers? What is our plan going to be?
Well, we feel we have a pretty strong pool of substitutes. We're now surveying them to find out when they're available to us. And we have the ability, we can work around the endorsements and those types of things to make sure that we cover our classes. We have alternate certification endorsement type things that we can look into.
Thank you.
No further questions? Okay, well, I'm assuming just the timing of the school schedule, we're going back to our original school schedule given busing needs for our students at this point. don't know.
That is correct.
I don't know who's that.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know who answers
Not,
that question.
we would try to condition ourselves to not say schedule, but the start and end times will move back to what we're typically used to.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I know that that was one benefit of the remote learning was not having to get secondary students up and out of bed and dressed and fed at those hours. But I guess that's sort of inevitable once we return to the classroom. So
And I have one little question, if it's okay.
Please.
So I was just thinking about our 6th graders and our 9th graders. Is there going to be an orientation or some kind of special carve out for those kiddos?
Yeah, actually, I could probably speak to that. There are, our schools are already starting to think about how, not only are they thinking about it, but they have planned activities. So our middle schools are already starting to think about, having small groups of students coming in to do tours of the building as early as tomorrow. My understanding is that I think Gateway Middle and some of our other middle schools are planning for that week that we return. I think our principals are doing a really intentional job and knowing that some of our students have never experienced high school or never experienced middle school. So it's one thing that they're preparing for right now, which is scheduling tours or some kind of orientation so that those students can come in, reacclimate themselves to a building, take a look at where their classes are and do some kind of spirit building, because that's the other part that's really been missing is kids haven't been able to come together as a school. And so being able to do that even in smaller pockets has been a real focus for our building leaders, and they've just done a really great job at starting some of those pieces already.
Awesome, thank you for that. And Jackson did do a freshman spirit giveaway thing where they got a T-shirt. So I'm thinking it sounds like the other schools are doing that too. So that's awesome.
Yes, all of our schools are actually engaging in those activities in very meaningful ways right now. Yes.
That's great. It's not only, to your point, it's not only next year's transition, but there are students this year that never had that transition. So a lot more of them. And I'm glad that schools are planning for that.
Madam Chair, if I might just add one thing, with HR, with transportation, with food, with curriculum, with every regional office, with social emotional learning, just so everybody knows, this planning wasn't last week. It's been all year. So that's why we're kind of ready. Like, that's why we're bargaining with our unions. We're doing a great job with that collaboration, but we'll be ready from like the orientation of the system. Principals are already planning to have that engagement for the 6th graders who haven't seen it in 2 years to the 9th graders, but we're ready to go. When we push that green light, we're going to be ready because it's been discussion since September for this point coming up on the 19th. And I think it's made the system whole and better.
Thank you for that reminder.
And I just would like to add one more thing. So I wanted to let you know that our extended resource in middle school and some of our students in Achieve classrooms are actually coming back a little. Some of them came back this week, and a couple of groups are going to come back the 12th, so that they actually have time to just acclimate to being in the building before everybody else comes back. And it's gone really well already to this week. So I just thought I'd add that.
Thank you. That's good to hear. Appreciate that update. Okay, anyone else want to provide any more little bits of information that are important and relevant or questions? Okay, well, I think we have come to the end of our study session here. We are almost exactly on time. So thank you again for a really well planned meeting. We appreciate it. I think the content has been excellent and great questions and conversation. So with that, we will adjourn this meeting, and I will say, enjoy your evening. Go enjoy the last little bits of sunshine. Take care, everyone.